All right, welcome back into the Double Coverage Podcast, a football podcast every single Wednesday on the channel. We're about halfway, well, maybe not halfway through the season, but 2 months into the season, just about. So, we want to talk about today the most disappointing teams in the NFL thus far. It's going to be a little negative, the podcast today. Apologies. Doesn't mean that we don't think your team has a bright future, but they've disappointed us thus far this season. I know for myself, the criteria for disappointing means that I had to have actual real expectations for you coming into the season. So, no, the New York Jets did not make my list at 0-7, despite being the worst team in football. To me, I thought they were going to suck anyways. Maybe they're on your list, maybe they're not. We'll get there when we get there. But we each had to pick three teams. It should come out to six, but maybe we picked the same team. I'm going to take some medicine opening this up here. My first team that I want to talk about is the Houston Texans. I was very high on the Houston Texans this offseason. I made kind of a proclamation that they were going to enter the elite tier of AFC teams this season that we believed could make the Super Bowl. Progression in the NFL is not always linear. It felt like the offense took a step back last year from where it was Stroud's rookie year, but it felt like with some of the pieces that they had drafted and Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, bringing in Nick Caley, shifting around the offensive line, that things could get better there. Things may have gotten worse in terms of the offense of this team. If you take away 5 quarters of football, the fourth quarter versus the Titans, and just the entire game against the Ravens, like G League defense, because there's
basically.
no, they may be the worst offense in football. And I don't think it's CJ Stroud's fault necessarily. I think there is some sense of accountability of Stroud isn't necessarily an elevator of talent at this point in time. I think maybe CJ Stroud is going to fall into that game manager category where, yes, he could be the 8th to 12th best quarterback in football, but I don't know if he necessarily has ceiling of top 5 guy anymore from what I've seen from him over the last 2 years. We'll see. I'm not completely writing it out, but to have the level of defense that they have, because I do believe their defense is a top 3 defense in football. Statistically, it pans out that way. They forced 4 turnovers against a really good offense in Seattle that's been very, very efficient as of late. I want to pull up exactly their defense is 4th in total yards allowed. They're 5th in passing yards allowed per game, kind of closer to middle of the pack at 10th in rushing yards per game. And the Houston Texans are number 1 in points allowed per game at just
Really?
14.7. That defense is elite, and they're 2-4.
Dang.
The Houston Texans have a clear-cut offensive problem. This season, they have scored more than 20 points in just 2 games. It's their 2 victories. If they score 20, they win. Obviously, again, that was against the Titans and the Ravens. The competition's been good that they've lost to, not great. And with where the Colts are right now, I just don't think that they could make a run at this division, and I think they're going to miss the playoffs. And
And who would
for
have thought?
and being a guy who said that I thought that they had their peak could have been making the Super Bowl this year, but more than likely I thought that they were going to be a divisional round conference championship team depending on the matchup. We're at this point where I think that they're just not going to make the playoffs. And this is a team where it's very hard to do that when you have a good quarterback. Not I'm not saying great for anybody that's, going to say that I'm like, out here still defending CJ, but he's good. D'Amico Ryans is a good head coach and an elite defense. To not make the playoffs, that's a very strange combination to see. The offensive line, I need the first 3 draft picks in the Houston Texans 2026 draft to be offensive line. I don't want to see nothing else.
And free agency
And
too.
free agent. They need to Chicago Bears overhaul that offensive line this offseason. And I'm not completely out on Nick Caley as an offensive coordinator, but he clearly was not ready to call an offense with the personnel that Houston has on that offensive line. Because the Rams have never had anything like that, and he just wasn't ready for it. and he's a little too committed to the run, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Versus that Seattle team on Monday Night Football, there was multiple third down and ones, fourth down and ones, where instead of going to the play action in any one of those spots that had been working, he just tried to out muscle and out strength a Seattle defense that's got some real good talent on the defensive line. And it failed all three times. For me, I'm not out on Houston's future because, again, I like Stroud. I love D'Amico. I think that they have a smart GM in Casario, and they have elite defensive talent. I'm not out on them being good in the future, but I'm out on them this year at this point. I've literally cashed out of every single bet that I had
Wow.
for dimes on the dollar.
Even your
And
defensive player of the year pick
no, no, no,
too?
no, 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 no.
Okay, okay.
Just team success bets that
Okay,
I had
okay.
that featured Houston because I Waj is still him. I
Yeah.
mean, strip sack, forced fumble recovery for a touchdown, all on one play. Just saying, how you doing? But yeah, I'm out on Houston
That's crazy, bro. I mean,
for
at
this
least
season.
you was right about the defense at least, but I don't know. We saw CJ Stroud elevate his team in his rookie season. So, I mean, have defenses figured them out? Is this coordinator just not calling plays because their red zone efficiency has
I
been
think
really bad.
I think the stat watchers are going to blame a lot of this season on CJ. And as somebody who watches the games, um, he by no means plays perfect. There's some misses that he has, even in that Seattle game, just as fresh in the mind. Jaden Higgins down the sideline could have made that pass,
Yeah.
didn't. Threw a ball behind Nico Collins on a slant. He's by no means a perfect passer, but when you factor in the pressure that he gets every single play, if you could just get CJ Stroud a middle of the pack offensive line, I think we would talk about him the way people do talk about Jared Goff, where it's like that guy is firmly around ish a top 10 quarterback, and in the right season could be an MVP candidate.
I mean, the weapons that you talked about that you were so excited about, they're showing signs, to be honest with you. And he just doesn't have that much time to throw to it.
Yeah.
It feels like even when they were rushing 3 or 4, they were still getting to him easy. The linemen were just getting ran over, ran through. And, and CJ, man, I mean, the game on Monday was kind of like funky in its own way because it was really late at night. I think it ended at what, like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. for people watching on the East Coast or whatever. But
Yeah.
bro, like it just did not look bad. It didn't look good at all.
No, and we say all the time in football, the best way to win is to be able to sustain a pressure with 4. Every team could do that against Houston.
Yeah,
So
and
the thing with Houston is their schedule just doesn't lighten up, man. Still left on this. This is a 2-4 team. Still left on their schedule. 49ers, Broncos, Jags, who beat them already, Bills, 2 games versus the Colts, Chiefs, at the Chargers later in the season when they should be healthy. Like that's 8 tough games for a team that's already 2-4.
but they do have the best defense in football right now. So that's one thing they do got going for them. So you can't really count them out, man. If their offensive line can start getting chemistry and they can string together a couple of good games.
I'm glad you have faith. I've counted them out.
Hey, man. Oh, I mean, 2-4 the season is really early, man. We've seen teams.
I mean, the AFC is pretty bad right now,
Yeah.
which does keep them a little bit alive. But again, full transparency, any bet I had them in being a successful team, I cashed out. So clearly, if money talks, I'm out.
Yeah, damn. I mean, I can't really blame you because I mean the Colts are just looking like they're just gonna run through that division straight up, you know. So I mean, I can't blame you. And then the race is gonna be really close. There's gonna be a lot of teams. The last 2 weeks are gonna be crazy, bro. If the Ravens catch fire and then the Chargers get healthy, man, who knows?
The AFC playoff picture is certainly an interesting one. So the Houston Texans are my most disappointing team this season. I put them number 1 on the list. I don't know if your most disappointing team is the first team you want to talk about, but Let's hear the first team you want to bring up here.
Nah, so the first team I'm gonna bring up is the Raiders because I had expectations for them, bro. I thought they was gonna make the playoffs, and it seems like Pete Carroll just came out of retirement for no reason because I get it. The pass rush wasn't going to be the same. They lost a really important piece before the season started. So
Yeah.
there's been rumors around that the Cowboys been calling for Crosby or something. I don't know how
Yeah,
true that is.
I'm sure they were calling. Pelissero debunked those rumors today. He said that it's just not going to happen.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's insane. If it did, the Cowboys would be right back in the same situation they would have had with Micah. So you went through all that drama for what? But it's the fact that they're calling for him. But I mean, for the Raiders, man, their wide receiver number one doesn't even want to be there. Aston Genty, rookie running backs usually hit the ground running. He has not been cooking at all, and Geno
No.
is like a bottom 5 QB this year.
So Geno's been real bad, and I got the numbers up here. A 66 completion percentage, not great. 202 yards a game right now, not great. 7 touchdowns to 10 interceptions, terrible.
And those 10 interceptions
And
are on him.
And he's been sacked 19 times this season. So he has more than double the times he's been sacked than touchdowns this year.
Yeah, and listen, we don't need to talk about the Raiders for that long because they're really bad. They played a divisional game against the Chiefs and ended the game with 3 first downs, bro. 3 first downs. They had 30 plays.
Did you see that PFF graded Geno Smith a higher grading quarterback performance in that game than Patrick Mahomes?
Bro, I don't even think people pay attention to that no more. What is the grading scale for that? Who knows, bro?
I mean, you want to talk about invalidating your scale. If something like that comes out,
why would you even post that? I'm pretty sure they made a graphic about it too and put it on the page and everything.
Yeah, I mean, they knew it would get engagements, but it's just like, if our math formula tells us that Geno Smith outperformed Patrick Mahomes in a game that Patrick Mahomes' team won 31-0, maybe we should go back to the drawing board. But I digress. The Raiders are a bottom 5 team in the sport.
Yeah.
They can't pass the ball. They can't run the ball. Brock Bowers has been hurt a lot of the year, so I give them a little bit of leeway on, like, he was probably their central focus when it came to passing, but that doesn't excuse how bad of a decision maker Geno Smith has been. And you know what? We're going to dog a lot on Geno, and he's a big part of their disappointment. I do want to say, like, good for Geno to get back to where, like, he was about to be out of the league when he was on the Jets, maybe best off being a college football game day analyst or something.
For real.
And he went and caught a bag in Seattle, played some good ball, and made over $100 million in his career. So good for him. The defense isn't really that good either, if we're being completely honest. Max Crosby is obviously fantastic. He's so fantastic that Max Crosby is tied for the team lead in interceptions with 1. You know, the defensive line's been decent. JaVon I in the Big 2025 is their leading tackler. That's 64 tackles right now.
It's like Bobby Wagner 2.0, bro.
Yeah, except not good. They've just been very, very bad this year. I'm pulling up some more stats here just to kind of paint a picture for how bad they've been. They are, 32, 31, 30, 29, the 28th ranked offense in the NFL in terms of yards per game. In terms of passing yards per game, they're the 29th ranked offense in football. In terms of rushing yards per game, they are 27th, so good for them in that aspect. In terms of points per game, they are 31st. Only team that they are better than is the Tennessee Titans, and they score an average of 14.7 points per game. Defensively, they are, middle of the pack defensively in terms of yards per game, just in general. So good for them there. Middle of the pack in terms of passing yards, I'd imagine also in terms of rushing yards. So the defense that you've brought Pete Carroll in for is pretty middle of the pack. They do have a hard time defending in the red zone as they are giving up a decent amount of points per game, but it's just the offense has been nothing. And I want to ask Chip Kelly, who they brought in to be their offensive coordinator out of Ohio State, how much of the blame do you give him? Because we saw Geno be decent at least last year. Obviously, Ashton Genty was who he was, and that's why he was drafted where he was. You haven't had Bowers, but you've had Jacoby Myers, Michael Mayer, who was a former high overall draft pick at the tight end position, Trey Tucker. How much of the blame do you give to Chip Kelly?
I mean, honestly, I'm not going to give him a lot of the blame, man, because Geno has been making a lot of dumbass plays, if I'm being honest, bro. He's just not playing good whatsoever, and they're always playing from behind. So
That's
you
fair.
can't even get a guy like Genty going. Like, how many times has he had over 15 carries in a game? Like, maybe 2? I don't even know off the top of my head. But, I mean, you got a rookie running back. You drafted him really high. You can't even afford to get him going because you're always down by 2 touchdowns. And then Geno is just putting the ball in harm's way at least 3 times a game, like 2-3 times a game. And he could have had more picks. And like, I think 2 or 3 of them have been dropped that were literally thrown right to the corner's hand. So I don't know, man. I'm not going to blame the whole season on Geno because, like you said, the defense is underwhelming as well. But I definitely thought that they would be competitive in this division. I even said that they could be more competitive than the Chargers, which, I mean, I was just wrong about them. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, some of what you said about the Chargers we're seeing creep up a little bit, but the Raiders, definitely a disappointing team. The number 2 team on my list might be a surprise because of their record and where they stand right now. But I have the Buffalo Bills as one of my most disappointing teams this season. And let me kind of explain in the macro why I have this, because I know that some people will be like, what the hell? The Buffalo Bills are disappointing to me because of where they should be at this point in time. Realistically, they should be 6-0.
Yeah.
Getting a 1 seed in the AFC to run through Buffalo. This was their window, man. This was their opportunity to go to a Super Bowl. You look in their division, yes, Drake May is good, and like all the reasons that you predicted the Patriots to be good did happen. But the Patriots do still have a bad offensive line, not a real run game, and we're a young team looking to develop a culture. Buffalo already had everything established, had the MVP of the league. There's no reason through 7 weeks that they should be behind New England for this division, yet they are. You look at the AFC North, Baltimore's collapse. Joe Burrow gets hurt. You look at the South, the Texans aren't good this year. Yeah, the Colts are out of nowhere. And the Kansas City Chiefs started off bad. They gave Buffalo a 5-week lead to build up enough games to make it so the AFC Championship game was in Buffalo. And they squandered that opportunity by losing to the Patriots in a game in which Drake May outplayed Josh Allen in Buffalo. Can't happen.
Yeah.
Can't happen. And then they got embarrassed by the Atlanta Falcons on Monday Night Football. No team needed a bye week more than Buffalo. You look at Buffalo right now, they have a defensive-minded head coach in Sean McDermott. They have the second worst run defense in football. The only team that's worse at stopping the run than Buffalo is the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins, who have a lot of players on that defense that would be backups on most teams and an offensive-minded head coach. The Buffalo Bills are a team that's supposed to be known for their defense. They have a defensive-minded head coach, and this guy can't even coach up a unit to be better than the Tennessee Titans' run defense.
That's actually didn't know. I knew the run defense was bad, but
if this pace continues, Sean McDermott will need to be fired, and the Buffalo Bills won't even be in a conference championship. Right now, if the playoffs started today, not a shot in hell. I think Buffalo could get past maybe not even Denver, but certainly not the Colts or the Chiefs. They are not a top 2 team in the AFC right now. They should be 6-0. They are 4-2. And the AFC should have been theirs this year. And Josh has underwhelmed at certain points. James Cook's had a couple bad games back to back. Ever since they played New England, it feels like the offense the last 2 weeks has been bad. And you start to look at some of Buffalo's wins, who they've come against. And now, after the last 2 weeks, I'm kind of questioning, is Buffalo even a great team? I'm giving them benefit of the doubt because of what we've seen, but they beat the Ravens 41-40, who the Ravens are 1-5. It felt like a good win at the time, but
yeah, it did.
The New York Jets, they beat them 30-10, handled them. The Jets still winless. The Miami Dolphins, they beat 31-21, but kind of a competitive game. And when you think about the Dolphins,
They barely
probably
got a
shouldn't
win
be a
too.
competitive game, but it was Thursday Night Football. So, and then the New Orleans Saints should have had a fourth quarter lead on them if a touchdown wasn't overturned. And the final score is 31-19, which is a 2-score victory, but that game was a lot closer than the score. Then you lose to New England, lose to Atlanta. They now come out of this bye week at Carolina. It'll probably be against Andy Dalton. If they don't blow them out, next week, the week after that, Kansas City comes to town. And they still have games with Tampa Bay, at Houston, who that defense beat them down last year, at Pittsburgh, at New England, versus the Eagles.
I mean, I don't think there's a shot that they're going to lose to Andy Dalton, but that would be insane.
If I had told you before the Falcons game that there was a shot they lost that one, would you have?
I mean, Bijan pulled a number on them, though.
I mean, Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard. I mean, before this week, I watched Rico Dowdle at back-to-back 200-yard weeks. Why can't he do it versus this defense?
Hey, if they coach can finally grow a brain, a real brain.
I'm not saying I'm predicting it to happen, but I'll tell you what, Buffalo better look like Buffalo, not like just some team that's lucky to be in the A. If Buffalo was in the NFC right now, we'd be having conversations about them missing the playoffs.
No, they wouldn't be in the playoffs, bro. It's like 5 or 6 teams with like 5 wins over there. It's like
right now they'd be out.
Yeah, they wouldn't be in the playoffs right now.
But we'd have real conversations about them missing entirely.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Yeah.
So
they're top heavy.
Again, they were blessed to be in an AFC this year that on a silver platter handed them an opportunity to be the 1 seed and this be their year, and they spit on it and threw it in the garbage.
I mean, honestly, though, when you look at that roster construction, man, like you want to talk about Lamar and having a lack of receiving help. I mean, it kind of reminds me of that, man. Their number one weapon right now is a tight end. It reminds me of the early years of Lamar and Mark Andrews. Like Keon Coleman, you want to talk about disappointments? This is the year that he was supposed to break out. And has he even had besides the first game of the year where he had like 110 plus yards, I believe. After that, I don't even think he's had over 50 yards in a game.
I mean, they're only 6 weeks into the season, so I don't want to jump to a conclusion. It's very possible at the end of the year, maybe they make a move for a defensive tackle at the deadline, and it is Buffalo, KC, AFC Championship again. But Buffalo did themselves no favors through the first 6 weeks, and despite being 4-2, they're one of the most disappointing teams to me.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely buy that. And like, I wasn't aware their run defense was that bad, but if you're not going to make a move on defense, you got to get Josh Allen another weapon. You're just asking him to do too much. And I said that last week too. You're asking. I mean,
this was kind of your point at the beginning of the season when we did our AFC predictions as to why you thought Buffalo would struggle. You looked at the roster and you said they're going to demand too much of Josh Allen. And so far, so correct.
I mean, it was cool the first couple of weeks because James Cook was the
but
best
even that
back in
first
football.
Game, they should have lost to the Ravens.
Yeah.
Look at all the things that had to go their way for them to win that game. And so I don't know. Buffalo, if Buffalo's 3-3 today instead of 4-2, and they don't pull off that comeback, and their 3 wins are against the Jets, the Saints, and the Dolphins, what are we saying about Buffalo? They're kind of hanging on to that miraculous comeback over the Ravens for people not being super worried about them. So yeah, again, I'm not counting out Buffalo by any means, but New England's strength of schedule is pretty easy the rest of the way.
I think the
And
easiest, if I'm not mistaken.
you got some tough games, so you might not have a home playoff game. And you talk about asking Josh Allen to do too much. Hey, Josh, can you go on the road 3 straight playoff games and lead us to victory? And, oh, yeah, your best weapon is Dalton Kincaid. Have fun. I don't see that being successful. And for, Buffalo, they're Super Bowl or bust. So if they get bounced in the divisional round, that is a very disappointing season, and Sean McDermott will be
Against
fired.
the Chiefs, imagine.
Against anybody, I think McDermott would be fired.
I think the Chiefs, if they lost in the divisional round to the Chiefs again, I think that has a little bit more weight on it, and he's out of there.
Imagine they lose in the divisional round to the Patriots, their division rival.
That would be crazy. That would be insane.
It could happen. Who's your number 2 team?
So I'm gonna go with the Ravens. I mean, they're really everyone's number 1 team if we're being honest. But
had to be talked about.
I'm still amazed, bro. Like their defense is this. I think the defense being this bad is surprising me kind of more than the record, and that's insane. But you look on paper before the season started, and everyone said they had the best roster in football, or at least
everybody had the Ravens as a top 5 defense. You can't show me somebody who predicted this differently.
Like, this is crazy. Like, no one thought they would be 1-5 through 7 weeks of the season. And even crazier, Lamar has been out and they're still not using Derrick Henry. Like, it's like, what are they doing?
Derrick Henry finally got some work versus the Rams, but on the defense, like you mentioned, they're 30th in the NFL in yards allowed per game right now. In terms of passing yards allowed per game, they are 28th. In terms of rushing yards allowed per game, they are 27th. In terms of points per game, they are dead last, 32nd in the NFL. They give up 32.3 points per game. And I know there was a lot of injuries, but we talked about how anemic Houston's offense was earlier. 44 points. The Houston Texans offense put up on Baltimore when they played them. And Baltimore's offense has not been good either. They have been, looks like, early 20s in terms of total offensive yards per game. Now, obviously, Lamar has missed some time, so obviously a little bit of these are changed. Passing yards per game, they're 28th.
When Lamar was playing, NFL, they were top 10, I think. I'm not sure. I think there's a way to check.
In terms of rushing yards, kind of middle of the pack. But, yeah, you talk about a team that's asking their quarterback to put the team on the back when we were talking about the Bills.
I mean, their defense is banged up right now, for real. Like,
but even when it wasn't.
Yeah, even when it wasn't, it was still Swiss cheese. But now, like, they're down.
Their only win this season is against the Cleveland Browns. And the Browns were starting a quarterback that's now the quarterback for the Bengals.
That's crazy to even think about. I mean, Lamar is gonna. I mean, I don't know. If they lose again, I think you could just chalk this season as done. Like, chalk it up as done, to be honest.
Well, here's my thing. The AFC is pretty bad. I guess it's possible you get in at 9-8.
Bro, starting off 1-6, though.
But they are 1-5. To me, to say that they will be a playoff team, 10-7 would get you in. That's my feeling on it. You can only lose 2 more games the rest of the season. Here's their schedule. And remember, we could say Lamar plays the rest of the way.
I'm looking at it now. Too.
We could say Lamar plays the rest of the way, but here's their schedule with the defense that they have. Versus Chicago. Chicago's won 4 straight, has a real run game. At Miami, At Minnesota, who J.J. McCarthy should be back by then. Will he be better? I don't know. At Cleveland versus the Jets. Lucky breaks there. Versus the Bengals. The first time they play the Bengals, I do not believe Joe Burrow will be back. That's November 27th. Versus Pittsburgh. At the Bengals, December 14th, I do believe Joe Burrow will be back if the Bengals have a good enough record. Versus the Patriots, at the Packers, at the Steelers. In that last month, there might be 2 losses. If you just throw away every other game that I said, including the Steelers, the Bengals, the Vikings, the Bears, and we just go that last month, at Bengals versus Patriots, at Packers, at Steelers.
That's what I'm saying. If they lose to the Bears, it's over. Like it's really over. I mean, if they win the Bears, you got to think they're gonna beat down the Dolphins. You got to think, okay, Lamar can kind of carry.
If they beat the Bears, they can rip off 6 in a row before that Steelers game. That's very possible.
Hey, if they can walk into there at 500, I think
they'd be 7 they'd be 7-5 walking into that Pittsburgh game if they rip off 6 in a row. Which I on the Tuesday tier list I do on the channel. Which if you like tier lists, check that out. Plug. I have them in the frisky tier still. It's 1 tier above, basically like my season's over tier. Wow. And it's out of respect for Lamar.
Like, I'm not going to say their season is over, but like, if they lose to the Bears, it's over. 1-6, it ain't no coming back from that. Like you said, the last month, division games, I mean, Joe Flacco or Joe Burrow, he had the offense going against the Steelers.
Asking Lamar to come off of this hamstring injury without a fully healthy defense and beat the Chicago team. Chicago's won 4 in a row. Chicago's post-bye week has a real rushing attack. Ben Johnson has figured out how to run the ball with this team. Caleb Williams has Roma Dunze, DJ Moore, Luther Burden, Colston Loveland, Cole Kmet, weapons to attack. And we saw what the Bears offense did against the Cowboys defense, who is just as bad as this Ravens defense. They were up and down the field. Like, Ben Johnson's an offensive mastermind, dude. Like, they're going to put points up.
Yeah.
And the Chicago Bears, underrated fact about them, they have the best turnover differential in football right now. They take the ball away. They don't give it up. Penalties have killed them in some of their losses, but they don't give it up anymore. So the efficiency level that Lamar is going to have to be at to win this football game, based on what we know, I'm not giving away any predictions, but
coming off a hamstring injury,
let's not just say this is going to be a win for Baltimore is all I'll say. We can't chalk it up already. This is, if they win, it'll be well earned.
It's going to be a shootout for sure.
So yeah, Baltimore disappointing, like you mentioned. We kind of knew that. Number 3 for me is the Washington Commanders. They're disappointing in a different way. Houston was disappointing because of the expectations I put on them. Washington, I thought it was worth bringing up because while I know I predicted them to miss the playoffs, I thought there was many people that predicted them to win the NFC East and be better than Philly this year. There was many people that thought that Washington could get to the Super Bowl and Jaden Daniels could win MVP. It has not happened. And it hasn't happened for a lot of reasons. I think the first thing that we have to give some level of respect to is just the injuries that they've had. Their starting wide receiving core of Terry McLaurin, Noah Brown, and Deebo Samuel played 1 game together thus far. They're just not out there together. Austin Eckler got hurt. He was out for the year. Jaden Daniels has missed some time. So they absolutely got bit by the injury bug. And they've still been a pretty good offense. They're the number 2 rushing offense in all of football still in terms of yards per game. They just defensively, they're not good. Defensively, they are 28th in yards given up per game right now. Their pass defense isn't good either. It's 26th, it looks like, and in terms of rushing yards given up per game, 126, which is mid-20s as well. Points per game, they give up 24.3, which is again in the 20s. And we kind of knew that the defensive personnel for this team wasn't going to be good. We talked about it coming into the season. It felt like there was a lot of dependency on older guys. Marshawn Lattimore has lost yet another
Yeah,
step.
he's
Dorrance,
bad.
Dorrance Armstrong is now out for the year for this team. How long can Bobby Wagner produce at such a high level? It was going to be a lot of winning the same way they did last year. I thought was kind of how they were dependent of being one of, if not the most efficient offenses in football, and they're just not that this year. Um, they do have a good rushing attack, which I will give them credit for, but they got to where they were last year by one, playing a last place schedule, and two, being incredibly efficient offensively. They don't have the pieces to do so. And Jaden, I don't want to say sophomore slump, but hasn't been as dynamic as he was last year. Some of that's
At all.
injury, but that game that he had versus Green Bay before he got hurt was the worst game we've seen him play ever. And Green Bay's got a real defense, so maybe we'll never know. Maybe we'll get to see at some point this year, but he was getting outplayed pretty heavily by Dak. And for the conversations people were putting Jaden in, you wouldn't expect that to happen. I think there was just a lot of gas and juice on Washington. And to me, I didn't think they were going to live up to the expectations of that. I had them missing the playoffs. They're about where I thought they would be. But in terms of league-wide opinion, there's no doubt they're disappointing.
I mean, I think you're spot on with them. Like, your preseason prediction is basically spot on at this point. I mean, Terry McLaurin has missed, the last 2 or 3 weeks?
And people say you can't predict injury, but I kind of call BS. Terry McLaurin wasn't in training camp because of the contract situation. What did I say? Soft tissue injuries are pretty common for guys that don't get those preseason reps in. He's been out with a quad injury for weeks. Deebo Samuel, you cannot count on Deebo Samuel to give you a full season. You just never have been able to, and now he's older. And Jaden's play style with his frame, he wasn't. Listen, I'm not going to go as far as some of the people that are like calling him RG3 2.0, like that. Like, for one, no, but for two, like, to put that energy out there on him, I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, that's insane.
But his play style and his build, it's not like those things were built for him to play 17-game seasons over and over again. He was eventually going to miss time for short stints the way he has this year. And the team is just not built to play without him.
At all.
It's not built to play without him at all, but when he's out there, he has to be elite. Why did they lose that game to the Bears? Because Jaden turned the ball over and Caleb didn't.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like there was natural regression for the team. It happened. They didn't take a step forward. They took a step back. It's okay, but it's disappointing in terms of where people thought they were going to go.
I mean, yeah, and you look at the teams they beat, man, and you're like, you got the Giants in week 1. That's Russell Wilson, Giants, first game
Raiders.
of the season. Yeah, you beat the Raiders, and then you beat the game. I think you beat the Chargers, and
that was an impressive win.
Wasn't that the game Hampton got hurt, if I'm not mistaken? I think Hampton got hurt that game.
It was, but I still thought it was. I thought it was a pretty impressive game from them. I'm not going to take it away, but you look at the rest of this Commanders schedule, dude. There's a lot of L's coming. Like, let's just be honest. At Kansas City, L. Versus Seattle, L. Versus Detroit, L. Versus the Denver Broncos, L. At the Vikings, could be tough. At the Giants, will be much tougher than week 1 it was. 2 games versus the Eagles and another game versus the Cowboys. Man, like, they have one of the toughest schedules remaining in football, and they're 3-4.
They're going to win a couple of those games.
They'll win a couple, but 6-7 wins this year?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe 8. I mean, but they're not a playoff team.
Oh, nah, I think we can pencil that out. I mean, you've seen what the the I know the Dallas Cowboys got CD back, but man, their
Dude,
offense is
well,
really good. Their
I don't want
offense
to
is
say that
good.
the Micah trade was bad because I do think like what they got back from the trade, it's hard to determine if it was good or bad yet because of a lot of draft capital. But Dallas has a top 5 offense in the sport right now, and if they just had a middle of the pack defense, they'd be dangerous.
I mean, they got the running back right now was what, second in rushing yards, and they have two
No,
number one
again,
receivers.
Dallas
So
Dallas is gross offensively, and if they can get you into a shootout, they're gonna
they're probably
they're
gonna
gonna
win.
they're probably gonna win. But like a team like they play Denver this upcoming week. I'm very interested to see what their offense can do against
They're gonna
Denver
win that game.
and what their defense could do against Denver
Mm-hmm.
because they looked really dominating versus the Commanders. And again, I think Dallas has a top 5 offense in the sport. But I also think that that win looks a lot better today than it will in a month. And I also think
Mm-hmm.
that that win has some fraudulent things behind it because Washington was down Debo and Terry, and they were down Noah Brown. It was Luke McCaffrey and Jalen Lane out there, which allowed Dallas to just play man coverage, which
I mean,
meant they could
McCaffrey
stack the
didn't even catch
box.
a pass.
That meant they could stack the box against the run.
Yeah, and Mariota got out there too. So
Yeah, and then he threw a pick six, and
yeah,
I think the final score makes it look like Dallas was a lot better than Dallas's defense was.
that's fair. That's fair.
So yeah, Commanders. Who is the last team on your list?
So I thought about going with the Dolphins because God knows they're just really bad. But
I think the Dolphins have the worst future of any NFL team
bro,
because of their attachment to $55 million a year to Tua. I don't think that you're able to overcome it.
you
I would rather be the Jets right now
when the
because you could
Cleveland
just cut
Browns,
Fields after this season and eat the 10 million next year, and it's like whatever.
yeah, like remember when the Cleveland Browns fans were going to the games with like paper bags over their heads? That's gonna be the Dolphins like in the next season or
There's
two.
Dolphins fans in denial, man. I know some Dolphins fans that are like, it's not Tua's fault. Tua's good, and I'm like, Tua's not good.
Hell
It's not,
no.
Tua maybe not the only problem. Tua is not the solution.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna go with the Dolphins, but I ain't gonna lie, bro. I'm gonna go with the Jets. I think the Jets are my
I brought
third.
the Jets up earlier.
Yeah, I mean, man, it's
So I
insane.
disagree on this one.
You
I'll
do
let you get your hold on. I'll let you get your point off, and then I'll explain why I disagree.
listen, listen. I don't. There's nobody out here who can tell me they expected the Jets to be the worst team in football. Okay, you had Justin Fields, who was 4-2 with the Steelers last year. There was reason to be optimistic there. You have Brees Hall on a contract year. You have Aaron Glenn coming over from Detroit. Everyone thought he was going to have this defense playing back where it was a couple of seasons ago, Sauce Gardner's rookie year. I mean, and then it just seems like they're not even a real football team now, man. I mean, you got I you're lucky if their quarterback can even throw for 100 yards in one game. 100 yards. And it's just a disaster. It's gone from bad to worse so quick. I think Aaron Glenn's probably going to be one and done. And Justin Fields, he's probably benched already. And it's what, week 7, week 8?
They did officially announce today
Yeah.
that he was benched for Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah, and that I don't even whatever team Tyrod Taylor is on, he's gonna play. That's just crazy. Like he's on the team every year, and he gets at least 3 starts every single season.
So
it's like he's like a good luck charm for that, or a bad luck charm. But
we both predicted the Jets would be 5-12. I'm looking at it now. The only team that I had worse than the Jets was the Cleveland Browns in the AFC. And then just to pull up the NFC here, just to kind of because my counterpoint to this is that I never thought the Jets were going to be good.
I
Um,
understand that. I
and
understand it. But they're the worst team in football right now.
we had the Giants at 3-14. You had them at 2-15. So we had the Giants as actually worse. So,
and the reason I'm saying this is
and then the
because
Saints were pretty bad too. So we didn't
yeah,
have them at 0-7 levels bad. But the reason that I don't have the Jets here is a couple of reasons. 5 of their losses are against really good to really good teams: Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Tampa Bay, Dallas, Denver.
It's the way they're losing, man.
Oh no. I hear you on that. Like they
Like,
have been ass.
okay, I put it this way. Because the Saints only have one win, but the Saints are
They fight.
far better than the Jets,
No.
and
That
that's what I'm trying
like
to say.
that's a fair point. The New York Jets are the worst team in football.
You got people saying they may not win a game this year,
I,
and I doubt that happens
if
with
you don't beat
Tyrod Taylor.
if you don't beat Carolina at home, where's the win?
I mean, yeah, I don't know what the rest of their
Bryce
schedule
Young got
looks like.
hurt. Bryce Young got hurt.
Hey, they're on a run, man. They can
What
run the ball. They can
they
run the
can.
ball for real.
So the New York Jets have the 4th worst offense in football, and Cincinnati's below them, but Cincinnati with Joe Flacco is a better offense than them. So
Yeah.
Cleveland and Tennessee have worse offenses than the Jets. In terms of passing yards per game, the Jets are dead last at 143 passing yards per game. Rushing yards per game, the Jets are actually kind of higher up because of how much Justin Fields runs the football. In terms of points per game, the Jets are one of the worst teams in football. They are 27th at 18.4 points per game. Funny enough, at 28th is the Atlanta Falcons.
That's wild.
Yeah. Defensively, this is the thing that's the killer for the Jets. They're not a good defense. They're kind of middle of the pack, but you would have thought an Aaron Glenn defense was going to be good. This defense isn't good. Like
when your quarterback is literally cannot get the ball past midfield, that defense is
they've
always
given up
on
the
the field.
They give up the 7th most points per game at 26.1, and yeah, some of that has to do with the offense being
But
inept.
that's like the majority. I think that's what,
if
the
you're
offense is bad.
If you're a New York Jets fan, what was it, 3 years ago? You had what probably was in your mind the best defense in football. At least it was top 5. Sauce Gardner was an all-pro. You were getting sacks. Quentin Williams was great. Quincy Williams was turning into his own. Like it was clearly DJ Reed was awesome. It was a very good defense with Robert Saleh. You fired Robert Saleh last year. The defense got worse. You hire Aaron Glenn, another Robert Saleh type head coach. Yeah. The defense isn't where it was with Saleh. And now you are watching Robert Saleh in San Francisco elevate that defense without Fred Warner, without Nick Bosa, to shutting down Bijan Robinson, who we just watched against Buffalo look like the best running back on the planet. What are you thinking if you're like Robert Saleh wasn't the problem?
They wanted to get rid of
it. Means, and I'm watching Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh, 4-2, not the problem. It is an organizational problem. They are losers.
They have no structure. It's just bad, man.
It's ownership.
Dude.
Because they got a new GM now, too. Bruh. They can't be like, I'm not a team switcher. I don't switch teams. If I was a Jets fan, or if I was born into being a Jets fan, I'd be out of there.
Dude, you can flip to the Giants like no tomorrow, man. They got a bright future over there.
Yeah, they suck.
Man, I feel like anyone who leaves that team, you're gonna be okay. God forbid Garrett Wilson leaves the Jets. He's gonna be top 5.
I mean, he just got that.
He's gonna be top 5. If
you know who's leaving though? Breece Hall.
Yeah, he's gonna be
Breece Hall for my fantasy people next season when you're able to draft him low. If he's on a new team, bye.
Any team.
Bye.
If he gets traded to the Chiefs, Super Bowl, I'll pencil them in for
I
the
don't
Super Bowl.
know.
I'll pencil them in.
I mean,
I'll pencil them
hindsight's
in.
2020, and I don't mean to take a shot at Aaron Glenn here. It's not to say that I think he's a bad coach. If you're the Jets, what the hell were you thinking if you were like, we didn't like Robert Saleh bringing Aaron Glenn in? They're the same coach on paper.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, man. And you already seen Saleh elevate that defense.
Dude, they're going to have the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. And what was supposed to be this amazing quarterback class with Arch Manning and Nuss. Like, the quarterback from my Oregon Ducks, Dante Moore, might go number 1. And I like Dante Moore. I think he's a winner. I don't know if he could save them.
Yeah, I'm a
I don't know
guy, but
I don't know if he's a save your franchise kind of quarterback. I don't know if any of them are.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I don't even know if there is one. Is Sellers going to go to the draft? Like, I don't. Man, they got.
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to be the draft you want to invest for a quarterback in, which means the Jets are going to be bad again next year.
But the problem, I mean,
when
you talk about the Jets on paper, the defense is fine. You got pieces you like. Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Mason Taylor, a good O-line. Like, quarterback's their issue. That's what they're going to draft.
And the thing is, all they need is like a decent quarterback, and you could be competitive and win 7 games.
You would think they could be. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I just think the team might be cursed. So my 3 disappointing teams thus far: Texans, Bills, Commanders. Yours were the Raiders, the Ravens, and the Jets, and we talked a little bit about the Dolphins. So
for 50 minutes, bro. Like,
yeah,
I'm surprised we got 15 minutes of content out of that.
I mean,
it's gonna be half an hour.
Hey, when we're yapping, we're yapping. So I appreciate anybody that made it this far in the video. Make sure you hit the like button. Check out JaVon's socials linked below. If you're not yet subscribed to the channel, I'd suggest you consider hitting that subscribe button, posting NFL content 5, 6, 7 times a week, something like that on the channel right now. This podcast is exclusive to this channel every single Wednesday, the Double Coverage Podcast. We do appreciate your guys' support. Let us know who you think's been the most disappointing team in the NFL this season in the comment section down below. We'll catch you guys next week for some trade deadline talk. We're going to go through all 32 NFL teams and tell you whether or not we think they should buy, sell, or hold the pieces on their team. We will catch you then. Peace.
Yes, sir.